evening. We welcome you here to the regular session of our City Council meeting. We apologize for starting late. It is unusual, but there was some important business to discuss that could not wait and had to be dealt with just prior to this meeting. And so we appreciate your patience in being here and waiting for us as we get started. For tonight, we recognize that Steve Bueller is absent tonight and will not be with us. And the rest of the council is here and attending, so we have a quorum of 6. Our opening ceremony tonight will be presented by Council Member Karen Lang.
Thank you. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We haven't had scout groups for several weeks. It's interesting. Must be summer. They're all at camp. Okay. Next on our agenda is our approval of the minutes of June 3rd, 2014, our regular meeting, and so to the council.
I would move for acceptance of the minutes from the June 3rd regular meeting.
We have a motion before us. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have the second. The motion is properly before us. Any discussion to the motion? Those are fun to review and read and remember the discussions that took place. Thank you. Then, if there's no further discussion, we'll place that motion for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously. Our minutes are approved of June 3rd, 2014. We now enter our public comment period. We have had 2 individuals sign up to speak. We remind you that any topic is open to you, and as well that you are limited to 5 minutes. Very rare someone takes more than that time, but just because I always have a timer here, just so I know, to make sure, to be fair to everyone. And we have signed up, first of all, Mr. Lloyd Barker. Mr. Barker, if you would come forward to our microphone, state your name and your address, and then your time will begin.
Good evening. As I stated, my name is Lloyd Barker. I live on Millerama Avenue, 3184. That's the house number. My first comment is I want to commend all of you gentlemen and Letty as public servants. I'm sure that each one of you are here because you want to serve. And there are many things that come before you. The thing I'm here to talk about is one of those items that has passed before, and in my opinion, not enough information was available at the time. And the result was, in my opinion, some unintended consequences. Now the problem to me is the color of your street signs. The street signs most of the way through the state and the country are with a green background and white lettering. And we, for some reason, have chosen black. Now, this is contrary to the popular notion. And to me, when I see black on a street sign, there's 2 things that come to mind. Number one, it's night and you're looking for a sign to guide you, you can't find it because it's black. Number two, to me, black has a connotation that is, well, it just plain isn't good for West Valley to have a black which connotates crime and blackface. And we in West Valley are looking to build the city up, not tear it down. And what I am saying is, let's be like the rest of the country and recognize that green is a good, viable color, and it is what has been settled on by most of the country. There's no harm in following someone that has done something successful, but occasionally some things will happen that, for whatever reason, there's not enough information and it's unintended consequences. Now, one more thing I just want to point out is a little of my background. I am a graduate engineer with quite a background in a lot of fields. I'm not going to discuss that further unless somebody has a question. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have, but I've stated my position as succinctly as I can, and now I'm willing to take any questions.
Thank you. I believe that normally we will have some comments, and I know I will, but we'll first hear all the public comment, and if you'll be patient with us another 5 minutes, I think we have one more person to speak, and then we
That's
can
fine.
respond to those. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Barker. In fact, I've been to your home.
Yes.
You're right on the corner. So, yes, it was a fun place to visit about a year ago. Next, we have Richard Spencer Valentine. If you would come forward and give your full name, or your name and address for the record.
Okay, I'm Richard Spencer Valentine. My address is 3197 South, 4440 West. I have some little bookmarks, Mr. Mayor, if I might give them to the City Council to help facilitate my remarks.
Just some sort of printed format?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I think that's fine. Could you do that? Okay. Just set this up.
In addition to living in West Valley City, I'm also a licensed environmental health scientist employed by the Salt Lake County Health Department. And I'd like to begin my remarks with an air quality forecast. It's going to be good for several days until it warms up, and then it will be bad. So anyway, I'd like to kind of run through some of the information on this little bookmark. The choices that we make as individuals collectively make the biggest difference in our air quality. The health effects of ozone and air pollution in children are striking. A study of long-term effects of air pollution in teenagers showed that the average drop in lung function was 20% below expected rates, similar to the impact of growing up in a home with parents who smoke. And we do have an air quality issue with ozone here in the neighborhood, here in West Valley City and throughout the Wasatch Front. With air quality, it's a situation that no one person can fix the air quality, but it's a situation where everyone can do something about air quality. I'd like to, on the back of your little card, it's got some things that you can think about that you might do. Change your habits. One is driving less, driving smarter, and be idle-free. This time I'd like to commend West Valley City for having a 4-day work week. That is a real plus in reducing the air pollution that might normally come from work. If Wasatch Front drivers park their vehicles for 1 day per week, emissions would decrease by 6,500 tons each year. And the next little section is why improve air quality, and I would, in addition to the things that are mentioned here, health, environment, quality of life, and cost savings, I would add a new facet that has come into place as we, as you'll notice later on, this is a little bit dated, is the economic impact of having air quality. When Salt Lake and Utah were recognized by the New York Times as the worst air quality in the nation, it did not do anything for the economic prospects of West Valley City or any other city in Utah. It's interesting, the Chamber of Commerce has taken the lead in a lot of the air quality efforts, which was not the case in the past, but they've recognized that's a problem. And then again, in this section here, we're all in it together. The kickoff on the Clear the Air Challenge took place last Saturday in Pioneer Park, where when this valley was first settled, that's where most people lived. It was the first stopping place, and so it was started there. And it's mentioned in this little brochure that it was the air quality efforts are led by Governor Huntsman, Mayor Becker, and Mayor Caroon. Mayor Becker is still in the game, but Governor Huntsman and, Mayor Becker is still in, but Mayor Caroon and Governor Huntsman have passed on, or moved on. Anyway, I would like to encourage you, specifically West Valley City, to consider participating in the Clear the Air Challenge in several different arenas. And it's got a couple of websites here. Okay, let's do quickly. I would like you to do it as this group here to challenge, for example, Salt Lake City or Salt Lake County, the executives, and also to invite other municipalities through the Council of Government. And also you have a Clean Air Champion on your team already, Mr. Russell N. Condi, your assistant city treasurer. Thank you very much for your time, and so if you have questions, I'm available, and I have my card there as well.
Okay, well, thank you. Now that's all we had on our list for people for public comments. Now we turn to our city manager for comments.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'll actually make a couple of comments tonight. First off, I'll perhaps shed a little bit of light on the sign question. And I wanted to start with appreciating Mr. Barker's patience, and I know this is at least the second time you've come before, so appreciate your dedication to the question as well. And so we take seriously your comments. I think it was about 4 years ago, roughly, that we started switching out the street signs, and at the time there really was one consideration that we were looking for that was different than the normal safety considerations of street signage, but of course safety was the number one consideration, and really at that time we were looking at three options. There were the green signs, as Mr. Barker has mentioned, there were the black signs, and there were blue signs. All three of these designs met the highway safety standards at the time for visibility, reflectivity, all the normal standards that we're looking at, and are set by national standard, which I'm sure Mr. Barker is much more familiar with than I am personally. But at the time, the three, as I mentioned, were the ones that met that criteria. We picked the black one really for a reason of differentiation and aesthetic. As the council knows, and as I think many members of the public know, West Valley shares borders with a number of other municipalities all around us. We're not an entity surrounded by empty space, so to speak, like you might be in a more rural setting. One of the things that we were aiming for at the time was that people would have an easier time of telling, when am I in Taylorsville, when am I in West Valley, when am I in South Salt Lake or Magna or Kearns or those sorts of areas. So that was one of the things we were looking for. So really, right or wrong, and certainly Mr. Barker has expressed a valid preference for the green signs. We were actually looking for one that was different. So it would have come down to either the black or the blue sign. We simply, frankly, from an aesthetic standpoint, picked the black sign. I apologize, apparently everybody's aesthetic is not exactly in line, but I do appreciate Mr. Barker's commentary and preference for the green sign. Really what I'm saying is,
Response on that?
that's fine, that's really kind of up to the mayor and the council here, but that really is all the further I had on the sign issue.
Okay. Then, and I didn't hear what the comment. The council have to decide that. I've not been in that situation, so unless the council says differently, we allow 5 minutes to speak. You can visit with them afterwards individually, but not in the official part of the meeting, unless the council so decides otherwise. Seeing it's quiet, to the council for comments.
Oh, sir, I'm sorry, I was going to address Mr. Spencer as well.
Oh,
too,
okay,
real quickly.
I'm sorry.
And really, I can keep that very short, just the commentary. We'd be glad to look at participating in that challenge. Once again, if it's the council's pleasure, we've done that sort of activity in the past. Certainly, we have made a lot of great efforts towards air quality improvement. We have a champion on the council, and in fact, in that arena, Councilman Nordfeld has come on in recent months, at the beginning of this year, and certainly has challenged us to look at more ways to address that concern as well. So, just wanted to mention that.
Okay.
And
Conclude your
I'm
remarks?
finished.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
to the
Thank you.
council then, Councilman Rushton.
Yeah, I'll just add here, and I failed to mention this in the study meeting, but we did receive a call last week from a member of the Salt Lake City Council challenging us as a city council in the Clean the Air Challenge. And so that'll be something that we'll be discussing soon, and I know as competitive as this group is, that we'll rise to that challenge in some form or another. I mean, I think Salt Lake will probably be tough to beat because they've got, their mayor drives a bike everywhere, for goodness sakes. So, they'll be formidable, but we're definitely going to come up with some type of response to that. And also, in response to the council's resolution of 3 or 4 years ago where we encouraged our residents to not idle their cars and encourage all our employees to do the same. So appreciate you coming and speaking on that tonight, and we'll see where that challenge goes.
Councilman Vincent.
I was just going to say almost the same thing that Councilman Rushton said. A few years ago, we passed a no idle resolution that specifically talked about not idling in school zones. And so when parents were there to pick their kids up, they ought to turn their cars off and wait rather than idle. So we did pass a resolution a few years ago, but there's certainly other things that we can do. So.
Thank you. Others? Okay. Couple of comments I would make. Mr. Barker raised this issue on the color of our signs. As it turns out, that's probably related in some people's minds to gang affiliation. I know the LA Raiders are carried by some touting that, but the interesting thing is that the colors red and blue have traditionally been gang colors, but I became aware having sons go through high school, and they would tell me things about what was happening there. The green is also one of the colors for gangs, and so, which is surprising since you have the Fighting Irish, Catholic school and all, but people will latch on to different colors for different reasons. It had nothing to do with Notre Dame, but just some groups will adopt a mascot. A lot of gangs have kind of adopted the LA Raiders, almost like a mascot for their gang, although they have no affiliation, and the Raiders disavow any relationship. So there are no safe colors anymore. They all carry some connotation, unfortunately. So, plus, in connection with environment, I know one of the things that I wanted to do is become more involved in that as a member of the West Valley City's Council, and certainly I laud Councilman Nordfeld's efforts in supporting him in those, and want us to find new and additional ways that we can work on that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to ride a bike, but I will take tracks right out here to attend a number of my meetings, as long as I can get there from there in any reasonable amount of time between various meetings. And so I often will run out and jump on tracks and go downtown to a meeting or somewhere along the way, and hope that helps in some ways by not using a car. So we encourage all of you to try and find individual ways that you can support the environment as well. But thank you both for coming. We appreciate your input. Then with that, we'll get back, or we'll go to the next item on our agenda, which is Resolution 14-101. Make sure I bring it up here, and sometimes I do the resolution and there are other parts to it that I'm supposed to say, but not on the resolutions, I believe. I think we're safe there. Anyway, this one is about 5600 West and the widening of 5600 West. There have been some work and agreements done there, and so we'll have a couple of these related to work on 5600 West. This at 6500 South, and this one is with property reserve, right-of-way contract, quitclaim deed, temporary construction easement to work on widening there, as I understand it. And now, for those of you who are here visiting, we addressed these issues for the final time in this meeting. We have discussed these previously in a previous council meeting, last week in our study meeting. These don't seem to be controversial. These will come from the Corridor Preservation Fund, $178,900. Any further comments there that we need to get on the record, Mr. Pyle?
No, sir. Good, thank you.
Okay, so then to the council addressing this resolution.
Mayor, I'll move for approval of Resolution 14-101.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second?
Councilman Knight? Okay. We have a motion and a second. The motion is properly before us. Any discussion to this motion? Seeing none, we'll place the motion for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We now go to Resolution 14-102. This is also a right-of-way contract with Property Reserve, Inc. And it is close, it's also on 5600 West. Temporary construction easement, 6200 South. Oh, this one though, the difference here is this will be conveyed to West Jordan City. We are working jointly with them, since this is a part of 5600 West, where they're on, I guess, on the east side of the road, or on the west side. Because don't we go down to about 68?
We go down to the edge of the Walmart property there, sir, which would be 6300, 6400.
Oh, on 5600 West,
Yeah.
then it goes back and then further south.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, okay. Anyway, but we're working with them on this project, and this is a part of that process. Anything else we need to add there?
No, sir.
Okay, for the record. Then to the council on Resolution 14-102.
Mayor, I'll move approval of Resolution 14-102.
Councilman Rushton makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilman Nordfeld the second. We have the motion properly before us. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, we'll place it for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We now go to Resolution 14-103. And this one was a really interesting one, where Comcast is installing some underground conduits it's in the city's right of way, but we have an easement with the Department of Interior. And so this resolution will pull all of that together so that this can be completed and grant that right so that they can do the work that is needed there to cross the Jordan Aqueduct. So, anything else we need to get on the record with that?
No, sir.
Okay, then to the council for action or discussion.
I would move for approval of Resolution 14-103.
We have the motion before us, Councilwoman Lang.
Second?
Second from Councilman Vincent. The motion is properly before us. Any discussion? These are fairly routine, so not much discussion. We'll place it for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We move on to Resolution 14-104 to award a construction contract to Ace Construction for the Glenn Weaver Memorial Park at the Vistas. These next two will deal with that park, and this is for the construction of a park there. Many people have anticipated that, have desired it. I guess this has some unusual features with a building on part of it and with a steep embankment on another side of it. But I know the neighborhood has been anxiously awaiting it. I heard a lot about it walking through that neighborhood. When are we going to get that done? So we're going to award the contract. Anything else we need to have on the record, Mr. Pyle?
No, sir. You got it covered.
Then to this resolution for the awarding of a construction contract.
Mayor, I move for approval of Resolution 14-104.
We have a motion before us. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Motion from Councilman Vincent, second from Councilman Hyun. We have that before us properly. Any discussion? I saw movement, but I didn't.
It's going to be a great park.
Oh, they'll appreciate it. It's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. So, seeing no further discussion, we'll place the motion for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We now go to Resolution 14-105, which relates to the same park, but this is an agreement with Rocky Mountain Power to remove overhead power lines and put them underground. Those lines, I guess, service the Kearns Improvement District pump house, and by putting it underground certainly adds to that park instead of having power lines over the park. So I think that covers most of it. Anything else there, Mr. Pyle, that we need to get on the record as we vote to approve this? Oh, the fiscal impact, 886, whoops, no, that was the construction contract, 886,000. We now go to this, it's 32,359 out of park impact fees. So these do not affect our budget. Those fees are set aside for park work. Anything else?
No, sir. Thanks.
To the council then for discussion or action.
Aaron, move for approval of Resolution 14-105.
We have a motion to approve for Councilman Nordfeld. Do we have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Lang. Motion is properly before us. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll place it for a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve Resolution 14-105 for putting the overhead power lines underground in that same park, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Do we have a need for an executive session at this point? All right then. Is there any further business from the council? Seeing none, we'll take one last motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Our city council meeting is adjourned.